Alright, let's talk about Marc Agnifilo, who's kind of like the janitor of the legal world. When something stinks, someone's gotta clean it up, and Marc's the guy with the mop. He's defended some of the most high profile scumbags you can imagine. The big one here is Keith Raniere, head of nxivm, a cult that made Scientology look like a charity bake sale. Raniere was into everything from sex trafficking to forced labor, and when the gavel dropped, he got hit with 120 years in prison. You can't even get a century-old tortoise to do 120 years, but that's what happens when you run a cult that brands women like cattle. That's what we're doing here. We're talking about some of the people that Marc defended. Marc also represented Pharma Bro. Yeah, that's right, Martin Shkreli. You know, the guy who raised the price of a life-saving drug by 5,000% and then acted like he was doing you a favor. Agnifilo tried to play defense there, but Shkreli still ended up with 7 years in prison. That's what happens when you mix being a corporate pirate with a dash of public douchebaggery. 7 years was not enough. Anyway, then you've got the 1MDB scandal. Now, if you haven't heard of this, strap in. Malaysia, in all their wisdom, set up a sovereign wealth fund, 1MDB. And what did some geniuses do? They siphoned off billions, not millions, billions of dollars. Najib Razak, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, was at the center of it, taking home nearly 700 million of that fund, and his friend Joe Low, who's still on the run, used the rest to live like an international rock star. They used the money to buy luxury real estate, throw absurd parties, and even bankroll the Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, you heard right. The movie about corruption was funded by actual corruption. That's irony with a capital I. Goldman Sachs had its hands in this mess too, helping raise funds for 1MDB and eventually had to fork over nearly $3 billion in penalties. Agnifilo? He represented some of these bankers because who better to defend the folks who helped build this skyscraper of fraud? Now, when it comes to Marc and his wife Karen, who's also in the legal game, there's no smoking gun that says they've been deceitful. They're defense attorneys doing what they do, picking up the garbage after the fact and trying to make it smell a little sweeter. That's their job. And while some folks might think it's shady, it's legal work. No credible accusations of lying or shady business here, just playing the game the way the rules are written, even if those rules feel like they were written by a drunk guy at a casino. So there you go. Marc Agnifilo is not your guy for moral compass directions, but he knows how to keep people afloat in legal quicksand, even when they're guilty as sin. And Karen? Well, she had to recuse herself from Weinstein's case because of her husband's connections, so there's a little drama there, but nothing that screams deception. Just more of that clean up the mess legal work. So you see, we live in a world where the good guys aren't necessarily good, and the bad guys just have better lawyers.